Hey. Uh, Not the most idealist of situations to cover this weekend's GP. Uh, Again, issues. If you've been following the channel regularly, I am having VPN issues and all sorts of stuff. Without that, I basically can't use YouTube, so I need it to function on this platform. And yeah, I've just been getting by. Just somehow been managing to upload videos. Haven't gone live in about a lot of days, actually. I want to say 2 weeks. Let's just say 2 odd weeks. I haven't gone live. So this weekend, MotoGP, the circus on two wheels, makes a pit stop in Spain, Circuit de Jerez. Again, we'll just stick to MotoGP. We won't go to the junior classes and all that also perform. Circuit de Jerez in Spain. Just a quick glance at it. 4.42 Ks or 2.75 miles. Longest straight 607 meters or about 1992 feet. 8 rights and 5 lefts. I think last year who won? I want to say what's his name? I think Alex won over here last year. I'm not too sure on that. But having said that, let's get into the weekend. So Friday was dry. Not much happening weather-wise. Overnight though, heading into Saturday and also during the course of the day on Saturday, there was some showers just before and after the one of the sessions. There was a rain in between, definitely before the day, and it became tricky. So heading into qualifying, we knew that Jorge Martin had a three-place grid drop because of driving slowly on the racing line, if I'm correct. I've written down my notes, but I have probably missed some things. So help me out in the comments if I missed something. Rain before quali, yes, spoke on that. Into Q1, the two drivers that made it out was Joan Zarco and Pedro Acosta. Two drivers made it out of Q1 and joined the pack in Q2. Heading into Q2, what happened during the course of the session was, we know he's already not at 100%. He had the huge crash before the season, and I think it was a femur that he broke, and he had a big surgery and all this. And so far, I think this is round 4, if I'm not wrong. And so far, he's not been riding at 100%. So it was I wouldn't say terrible, but not the best of weekends for Famin Aldeguer. He had a crash. I think Friday he was pretty clean, stayed out of danger and all. It was a dry day, but on Saturday, before the main sessions happen, the riders get a practice session and some laps around the grid. So on one of those occasions on Saturday before qualifying, he had a crash. So he would have been feeling a bit sore from that. And during Q2, because he qualified for Q2 on Friday, so he didn't run through Q1. He showed up straight in Q2, and in Q2 he had a huge crash as well, bringing his total to 2 crashes in one day. Alex Marquez also ended up crashing in Q2, but he had good pace in the dry. It was in the wets where situations became tricky, but people were getting wiggles on the bike. The rears were a little loose for a lot of the people. Jorge Martin also crashed. What did he do? He crashed into turn 1. If I'm not wrong, this should be the front brakes, or was it in the, what's it called? Sprint. Where is Jorge? Jorge. Digi. Yeah, okay, so basically Jorge just crashed. Let's just leave it at that. Oh no, I remember. He into the braking zone. On the brakes. I don't know if he was going for the lean angle or not, but basically the front washed out and he ended up sliding through. If I remember correctly, that is the crash. Because he had another incident in turn 1, which I think was the sprint. Ah, yes, it's the sprint. Okay, so Jorge in Q2, his front washed out, and that was the crash. Uh, Otherwise, people were okay. People were finding some lap times and they were building into it and finding pace overall. A lot of people improved. Marc looked a different beast in the wets, I will say. Him and Johann Zarco, they're class apart. So Johann, he was in it for a shout. He was definitely gonna get P2, but heading into, I want to say, sector 3 or sector 4 on the final run in quali, when the checkered flag was waving, when he was finishing his final push lap, he came into one of that wiggly section. Again, terrible with the corners, bear with me, but he had some good lean angle in. He covered some time on Marc. He lost a bit of time. He was about 800s, 0.01, yeah, about 800s down on Marc Marquez's time. And Marc at that time had already finished his push laps and everything. So it was all on Joanne. He had the full track to himself, no traffic, no nothing. But heading into one of the left-handers, he tipped it in and he sort of got a wiggle on, and then he also on power he couldn't get out freely. It was a messy entry, and then that messed up his exit as well, so he lost time over there. If I'm not wrong, it should be the final corner, if I'm not wrong. So Johann Zarco couldn't capitalize on a possible pole position. Let's have a rundown of the results from qualifying. Again, this is just Q2. I haven't included Q1. So Marc Marquez grabs pole. Marc Marquez class apart in the wet. In the dries, Alex was the class apart. He had more pace than his brother Marc, so unfortunate for Alex. But if he wants to beat Marc, he needs to be able to be the fastest rider in any conditions. Marc bags pole with a 1:48.087, and then about 2 tenths behind was Johann Zarco. Again, because I think it was the final corner. Because of that wiggle, he ended up losing time. Johann Zarco. Digi brings up P. What's it called? it's called P3. He is about a second and a bit down on who? Gap to first. Yeah. So he's a second down on Mark DG. Uh, P4 Bez. Uh, from the Aprilias, it was a decent showing, let's say. In the wet, let's just say it was a decent showing. Also about a second down, but how many is that? It's a 10th, 100th. So about 200s behind Digi. That was the gap between Digi and Bears, about 200-300s of a second. Alex in P5, he was about a second and half a hundredth. I don't know the proper thing. That's fine. Acosta P6, Martin P7. Again, Martin had the issue with the penalty, so he dropped positions. Ralph Fernandez in P. No. Oh, where is he? Martin 7. Did I say Acosta? Yeah, I said Acosta in P6. Martin P7. Enea P8. Ralph Fernandez in P9. Pecco P10. And Ayagura in P11. And Femin bringing up P12. Again, with Femin, the fact that he's on the bike. I've said it in the previous two-ish lives I did, that for Femin just to be on that bike is a huge show of the guts that the kid has. If I was him, I would have just taken the time off, gotten to 100% health, and then jumped on the bike. So what is this? Okay. Next up was the sprint Saturday. So before we even get to the grid, after the what's it called, formation laps, before we even get to the grid, at the end, coming out the final corner, Alex Marquez tears off a visor screen or protector or whatever you want to call it, and he lets it go. Now he's unaware that Bez is that close to him, so Bez also unaware that the bike caught the visor on the front wings. Bez ends up pulling to his grid spot, and for the most part it was fine. If you've seen the video, just before getting into position, there's a moment when Bear shakes the handlebars and sort of jumps the bike a bit, just to loosen things up, maybe get himself into the zone. And then at that point, the visor then falls off the front wings, goes under the bike, and is under the rear tires. Now Bear's obviously unaware of this. He's eyes forward looking at the lights, and we have 5 lights, and 5 lights go off, and Bears just has a whole lot of wheel spin. He laid down a whole lot of rubber, single track rubber, and terrible start for the fella. I think he dropped to P17, if I'm not wrong. I think he dropped to P17. Mark and Joanne keep their positions P1 and 2. They got off to great starts. Alex from P5, I think he qualified. He got up to P3, somewhere there. And Jorge from P7 got up to P4. Jorge had a good start as well. Aprilia's, by the way, the whole weekend they shot off the line very well, even better than the Ducatis on many occasions. well, when I say many occasions, the two occasions, sprint start and race start. Jorge overtakes Alex then, but Jorge runs wide into turn one. So at the end of lap one of the sprint, Alex was ahead of Jorge into the final corner. Jorge gets through, or is it just before the final corner? Jorge got through on Alex, and then down the pit straight, Jorge leads Alex, and then Alex is just hanging because of course the Ducati is the better machine than the Aprilia. And then heading into turn one, Alex just parks it on the A side and pushes Jorge out. Also, the problem with Jorge is the front brake disc. I don't know if he had what's it called? Is it brake sticking, or what's the proper term? I'm forgetting. Where basically the pads latch onto the disc, and it causes a lot of friction. So brake issues for Jorge into turn one. That there was a shot that came out of his front disc, and it was glowing red. It was before we had especially in Formula One, when you had more of the open rims, you could see just ever so slightly in night races like Singapore, you could see the red brake discs and all. So even with MotoGP, normally you can see them if you pay very close attention into heavy braking zones. You can just pick up on the brake discs glowing red. But for Jorge, on the occasion of the sprint, broad daylight, and when I say broad daylight, there was some hefty cloud cover, but still in daylight, you could see a red glowing disc uh, around that front wheel. So that was a cool shot, I thought. So brake issues for Jorge. He ended up dropping out from there, and I think that was pretty much his race run. Alex takes P2 in the same lap or so. Alex took P2 around lap 2, towards the mid or the end of lap 2. He took P2 back from Jorge, and the gap was 1 second, and then he just started cutting that gap. White flags for changing bikes, swapping your dry setup bikes for the wet setup bikes, because the weather was changing. You started off cloudy around lap 2. There were spits of rain, so the FIM stewards threw out the white flag that the drivers are allowed to swap bikes if they wish. But people stayed out quite late, eh? Quite late. It was a 12 lap sprint, and people stayed out until, I want to say, lap 8 or 9. And chaos just imploded around that time. So 1 second after that whole Huawei debacle with Alex, 1 second between Mark in P1, Alex in P2. White flag was thrown out at the end of lap 2. Alex was faster than Mark as a few raindrops were falling around the track. And by around lap 3, Alex has cut that gap down by about 4 tenths. So between him and Mark, the gap is now around 0.6 seconds. Now in lap 3, Digi gets Zarco for P3. Zarco also lost out to, at the time, I think it was Acosta or Enea, one of the two KTMs. And then they ended up fighting for quite some while. They ended up swapping positions, and Zarco became almost like a cork in the bottle for the KTMs. The KTMs just couldn't maintain position over Zarco. Lap 3, DJ gets through on Zarco for P3. Zarco lost out to KTM's lap 4. Zarco gets ahead of Acosta Yeah, so Zarco got his position back, and then Alex was on the rears of Mark. He was in touching distance. Lap 5, rain spots, uh, well, heavy rain spots is what I'm trying to say. DJ closing in slowly on both Marquez brothers. DJ, he had pace. Also, the pace at the front between Alex and Mark was it wasn't as it wasn't as fast paced as the opening some bits in the race. What happened next? Lap 5, DJ slowly closing in. Lap 7, DJ is in touching distance of both because I think Alex had pulled a move or something, and they had fought for a bit, and they'd lost out to DJ, who was closing in on them. Uh, and then as we saw DJ closing in, I think it was a downhill shot where you could see Mark and Alex going at it, and then following behind them, not exactly closely, but getting there was DJ. And then into the next section of track, it was a left-hander turning into a right-hander. So for the left-hander, Alex set his bike up on the rear of Mark, and then heading into the right-hander, Alex just outbroke and overtook Mark. Don't ask me on which section of the track or which corners. I don't know. I'm very bad with corners. Very bad. We have what happened next. So all this happened on lap 7, and Alex more or less took the lead around lap 8. Now on lap 8, we had a lot of heavy rain, but it wasn't bucketing. Yeah, it wasn't bucketing down as such, but it was getting heavier, and you could see the riders having to pick up the bikes. They couldn't put any lean angle on through the corners. They had to pick up the bikes and coast it through. So it was getting heavier in some certain corners. And then Toprak crashed out. Alex gapped out Mark by point 0.5. What happened? Alex. Oh yeah. I don't know. Was it in the back part of the track, or where was it? It was on the right-handers. I think it was the right-handers. Alex came in, had a wiggle, and sorted himself out. But then Mark was following him in, and I don't know if he got off put by Alex's wiggle, but then he ended up. Oh no, no, this was the around the pit entry. This is around there. So Alex has his moments, gets through. He picks up the bike, gets through, loses time, but gets through. And Mark behind him just I don't know if he was off put by Alex or whatever, just ended up sliding through uh, onto the outer part of the track. And then, okay, we'll get to it at the end. We'll get to it at the end. So that was lap 8. Mark crashed behind and pit. And then lap 9, pit chaos because Alex had crossed the line. So that was the end of lap 8, and at the same time Mark entered the pit. So on lap 9 we had the pit stop chaos for the wet bike setups. Half the grid, let's say, came in for the change on lap 9, or the end of lap 10, the start of lap 9. Sorry, the end of lap 8, the start of lap 9. Pit stop chaos for wet bikes. Alex and DJ stayed out. I think this was a mistake. Again, the problem is when you are the lead bike, you have to make the judgment calls. You are the first person to experience the weather, to experience the grip on track. So you have to make the call. But yeah, I think he should have pit. He should have pit. I'm pretty sure they would have been aware of the weather, that once the rain came, it was only going to intensify. So just looking at that, they should have pitted. And then you had guys running down the order like Brad Binder and all, uh, Pecco and all, that had nothing really to lose. So they pitted earlier, and as the rain kept getting heavier, they benefited because they got onto the wets earlier. So uh, people pitted. Alex and DJ stayed out. Binder, he was the net race leader for uh, for the wets, because everyone had to pit because the rain was only going to intensify. So Brad Binder was the lead bike on the wet setup. So Brad Binder, the net race leader, and then behind him came out both Pecco and Marc. Marc came out behind Pecco, by the way. Pit chaos, yes. Um, and then on lap 9, coming towards the end or somewhere there, Alex ended up crashing out as well, and Digi got ahead. And Digi was the leader on track. Again, net race leader at this point is still Brad Binder. He's the one. He's the first bike, or let's say he's the lead bike on the wet setup. Everyone else ahead of him on track was on the dry setups. Pedro also crashed and pitted. Digi also pitted. Alex also pitted, and everyone pitted about a lap later. So the dry runners pitted. Femin stayed on track. He was the race leader on track. Again, I don't know why he risked it. The kid, you already injured, man. Just pit, just pit. Don't risk something silly, especially in wet weather on two wheels. Don't risk it. Don't risk it. Um, who else was there? Brad Binder. He ended up crashing. Could you believe it? He was hunting down Femin Aldege, ended up crashing. And by the time he picked up the bike, I think he was P3 or P4, somewhere there. Both the Ducatis, factory Ducatis, got through. Pecco and Marc were effective P1 too. Jorge also crashed out at this point, uh, within just a couple of moments of Brad crashing out. And then lap 10, both the Ducatis overtook Femin, and they overtook him at a rate of knots. It was like Femin is a baby crawling, and then imagine two Usain Bolt type speed runners just running past Femin. So it was just so, the pace difference was just so astronomical that you had to see the overtake to believe it. It was just so astronomical. And then so they overtake Femin in a small little straight area, then heading into the left-hander. So it was the left and the right. Okay. So Pecco's lining himself up, and Marc is pushing for the inside line on the left-hander. Sees it's not working out in the left-hander. Just taps his brakes, pulls it back on the inside, from the inside of the left-hander to the outside, which will then turn into the inside of the right-hander, and forces Pecco out. And he basically pulled the switch back, and Pecco basically had to smash the brakes. Otherwise, there was going to be contact. So Marc bullied his way through Pecco in the next couple of corners after overtaking Femin Aldege. Femin at that point, after the overtakes and all, ended up crashing as well. He got back into the pits, and I don't know, he just got back out on the wet setup just for the sake of getting out. If he retired, I don't think anyone would have held anything against him. So one of those things. Lap 11, Marc kept gapping Pecco. And yeah, basically, once Mark got into the lead, there was no looking back. So, your winner of the sprint. This is the sprint, right? Oh, yeah. Your winner of the sprint, cashing in on 12 points for the sprint victory, was Marc Marquez. Uh, he was looking good for P2, ended up crashing out, dropped a whole lot of positions. Rain hit perfectly well for him. The timing of the rain was so perfectly well for him. Yeah, Marc Marquez, winner of your sprint. Marc Marquez hadn't taken a victory in the race since 2019, I want to say. And people were super eager for that, especially looking at Alex's pace on Friday. People knew that Sunday was going to be dry, so people knew that they had a fight on. Another brother v brother fight was on the cards, but we'll get to Sunday in a second. Mark took P1, Pecco took P2. Again, rain, the unpredictability of MotoGP as it is, and then you throw a little bit of rain in there. It's just, it's what's it called? Chef's kisses. It's just perfect, man. Frankie Momadelli, he had a lot of words to say. He dedicated his podium to the losers out there, to the guys that keep trying but it doesn't work out in your favor. I understand where he's coming from, but Frankie, or you also have to accept that just out and out pace is not there with you on that bike. So that's all I'll say. I'm not a hater of Frankie, but I'm just saying that he's not performed to a respectable level, let's say, unlike Digi. We'll get to Digi at some point. We'll get to him. There's a whole lot going on in the driver market, in the rider market. Brad Binder, unlucky with the crash. Maybe he could have gotten the podium. Who knows? Would he have kept the Ducatis behind? I don't think so. I genuinely don't think so. Digi picks up P5. Raul Fernandez picks up P6. Fabio Quartararo P7. Joan Zarco gets P. Huh? Joan gets P8. Yeah. Joan Zarco gets P8. Luca Marini P9. And Alex Rins picks up P10. These are your top 10 finishes for the sprint. For outside the top 10, Enea 11, Acosta 12th, Augusto Fernandez, if I'm not wrong, P13, Diego Morera P14, Ayagura 15, Jack Miller 16, Famin Aldegues 17, and yeah, Benzeki. What happened with Benzeki? Bezz. Did I forget to mention Bezz? Why do I feel like I forgot to mention Bezz? Digi, Binder. What happened? What happened? What happened with Bezz? Did I mention Bezz? That he crashed out. I mentioned Jorge. Something happened with Bezz as well. Anyway, guess I haven't written. Guess I forgot to write. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So, Bez, your unclassified finisher, John Mir. I mean, come on. It's like every time he gets on that Honda, you just expect the DNF. Alex, unfortunate to not get classified. Am I reading this right? What? Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. I was like, what's going on? Top rack crashed out. He actually he rammed into the side. Uh, I just remembered because I'm seeing Salvadori up there. So it was I think the right-handers, the series of right-handers where Salvadori was on the outer side, Top rack trying to cut in on the inside, and then on lean angle, Top rack ended up smashing. He ended up smashing through. Is it Lorenzo? I think it's Lorenzo. His surname is Salvadori. And Jorge, of course, crashing after pitting for the wets. So let me just reconfirm. This is sprint, right? Yeah, sprint classification. Okay, I thought, why did I feel like I'm losing my mind? So that was that for the sprint. Now let's go to race day. Your sprint podium, just to recap: Marc P1, Pecco P2, Frankie P3. Now let's go to race day Sunday. Race day dry day, hot day, heated day. Marc starts on P1. He is your favorite, of course, for victory for P1. He has not won a Sunday GP since 2019 in Jerez. Last year, Alex got the best of him. It was fun to see the celebrations though from Alex and Marc last year, jumping around with the crowd. And last year, Alex, through the sequence of what's it called? Through the sequences of the right-handers, he ended up celebrating with the crowd on the last lap. Repeats his pre-win celebration again on the final lap. Spoiler slightly. Let's get into it. Lap 1. Marc Marquez leads. Where is it? So Marc Marquez leads into turn 1, leads the race. Everybody kept it pretty well behaved. Alex gets into P3. Marco with a better start. Ended up getting into P2. Again, overall very well behaved. No one really got pushed out wide that I can think of, and we didn't have any crashes into turn 1. So pretty well behaved. P11 for Paco. He dropped places. Jorge from P10 jumped up to P4, and Joe Zako dropped from P2 to P6. So these are your main things to note on the start. Lap 2, Alex gets P2. Jorge and bezz sorry. Jorge and bezz then get a bit into it for P3 and 4. And Alex levels Marc for the lead, and Alex was on some kind of a mission on the second lap. He cleared. Who did he clear? Who got P2? bezz got P2. He cleared bezz and straight away got into Marc, got into chasing him, cut down the gap. Around the end of the lap, he already was in the lead, and he already had started building a buffer. What happened? So bezz and Jorge were getting into it for P3 and 4. Alex leveled Marc for the lead again into that left, turning into the right handers where Marc overtook Pecco. If you remember the explanation, pretty much the same thing. what's his name? Alex leveled Mark for the lead. And then into the right handers for following forward from there. Mark uh, trying to stick with the pace that Alex was setting. Alex tipped it, ran through, slingshotted through to the next sequence of corners. Mark, though, as soon as he slightly tipped it in, as soon as he got to midway, I don't know what happened. It seemed unlike Mark, and the front washed out, and Mark had a high speed tumble. Let's say it looked aggressive. It it was unexpected, especially, and I think was it Bez in P3. He was also running close with Mark, so he saw Mark tip it in. He also tipped it in, and then all of a sudden Mark is sliding out. So it was quite a crash. Um, Mark his streak continues of no race win since 2019 here. High speed, unexpected front washout. Yeah, I thought it's not. I don't even think it was a matter of tires being cold, unlike in in the sprint, where once the guys put the wet setup on, uh, you could say the wet tires were cold, so that's why some guys crashed, like Jorge and so. But for the race, I don't think dry tires. It's just one of those, or just one of those ones where your front washes out. It happens to the best out there, because it did happen to the best out there. Lap 3, Alex leads Bez by zero point 0.8 of a second. Lap 4, Digi gets P3 from Jorge. Yeah, Digi gets P3 from Jorge, and the KTMs and Ayogura battle it out. Pedro picks up some slight damage in the front in the battles. Lap 10, Alex P1, Bez P2, DJ P3, Hoy P4, and Zarko P5. I thought Zarko, he wasn't closing into the top guys. Maybe he would have had some late race pace, but not to be for Joanne. I thought maybe, who knows, he can sneak in a podium in the later stages if he's saved tires, but he just didn't have pace for the front. 1.5 seconds between P1 and P2, that is between Alex and Bez at the lap 10 mark. Now, overall, the fights that were happening were in the middle of the pack, with the Trackhouse Boys, the KTMs, Joanne, and I think that is where that, and maybe some of the guys down under, like your Alex Rinses, this is where you had your battles going on. Because in the front, it was it had more or less stabled out since Mark crashed. So that is your update at lap 10. At lap 13, Pecco has technical issues in P9. He drops in P9, and he dropped to last, and he ended up retiring as well. So from what I remember from that was I think it was into turn one. He went in, had to pick the bike up and just roll off the off power. I don't know what happened. He was still moving, so it wasn't a mechanical issue. Maybe some technical issues. Again, these bikes, they're not like Formula One, where it's this new battery nonsense and all, but there is a whole lot of electronics that that is added on the bike that pulls out performance. So without the technical and the mechanical part, you're not getting anywhere. You need both of them to work together. So DNF for both factory Ducatis. DNF. 1.4 seconds. Or is it 1.9? I don't know what I've written. It's confusing. That's the gap between P1 and P2. Alex and Bezz. Between Bezz and Digi, P2 and P3, the gap is 0.8 seconds. And then again, your midfield battles, your track houses, your KTMs, and here and there. That's where your battles were happening around lap 20. The update was P1 Alex 2.2 seconds ahead of Bezz in P2, who is 1.3 seconds ahead of DJP3, who is 3.6 seconds ahead of Jorge P4, and that is your race run. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the race. Let's get into the results. There we go. Oh no, wrong one. Wrong one. So your race result. Alex won the race, got the full 25-point kitty in his bag, and just a class apart. Alex Marquez, just a class apart. Once he got through on Marc, there was no looking back for the kid. Hey, why have you frozen? Okay, there we go. Alex Marquez, once he got through on Marc, there was just no looking back at the guys behind. He was just a class apart on pace. Bezeki P2, I thought maybe he would have been able to pull into Alex, give him a fight, not to be. Bezz finished 1.9 seconds behind Alex. DJ finished. Wait. This is gap to rider in front. Okay, sure. I think the gap is to rider in front. So did you finish P3? The gap between him and Bezz was 5 seconds and 8 tenths. Jorge, what happened with Jorge? Jorge was in P4. Jorge was 9.2 seconds off the lead, or the rider in front. I'm confused. I'm so confused. If it just says gap, I'm confused. I think it's with the leader. Let's just keep it with the leader. 9.2 seconds behind the leader, Jorge in P4. Ayagura P5, 9.9 seconds off. Ralph Fernandez, he did well. These kids, Raul, Ayagura, Enea, Pedro, Binder, a bit of Quattararo. This is where you had most of your overtaking and your fighting and your close battles. Joan Zarco P7 couldn't keep pace later on, lost out to the kids. Joanne was 13 seconds off the lead. Enea 14.4 seconds off the lead in P8. Famine was 19 what? Let's just say 8 tenths. 19.8 tenths off the lead in P9. Again, Famine finished in the top 10, man. Huge kudos to the kid. Pedro, Damage also lost out on race pace. He just tailed off. 22.4 seconds behind the leader. Brad Binder 22.8 seconds behind the leader in P11. Frankie bringing up P12, 24.8 and a bit seconds behind. Luca Marini P13, 26.8 and a bit seconds. Fabio Quartararo, who is he? 29.5 seconds behind. And Joan Mir, final point, paying position, 29.9 seconds off the lead, Joan Mir. Alex Rins was P16. These are your non-point scorers. Alex Rins, P16. Diego Moreira, P17. Jack Miller, P18. Toprak in 19th. Fernandez Acosta, again, forgive my pronunciation. Augusta Fernandez in 20th. And then your 3 DNFs, Pecco with the technical issues, Salvadori, I'm not sure I saw him, if it was a crash or what happened, and Marc, we saw he crashed out. So these are your DNFs as they stand. Let's go into the World Championship standings. Top man, Bezzecchi, rider to beat, 101 points. 10 points behind is Jorge Martin with 90 points. Digi in third with 71 points. Pedro Acosta is holding in fourth at 66 points. Marc Marquez holding at 57 points. Raul Fernandez with 54 points. And Alex Marquez with 53 points. But do we need to go through the rest? Let's just do the top 10. Ayagura 48 points. Fabio did I'm saying Fabio. Pecco, Fabio Bagnaia, Francesco Bagnaia, 34 points. Pecco Bagnaia, 34 points. Enea Bastianini in P10, rounding off the top 10, has 30 points. Yeah. Is there a rider to not score? Jack Miller hasn't scored. Vinales injured. If I remember correctly, Michele Pirro, he was a substitute. Augusto, he's okay. He hasn't scored. And Lorenzo Salvadori hasn't scored. So that is the Jerez weekend again. It's not ideal the way that I'm having to cover this, but okay, sure. When is the next GP? When is the next Geppetto? It's loading. And it's still loading. No! Don't give up on me just yet. Oh, just about to sign off. Come on. Okay. Round 4 is done. Round 5 we go to France in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks we hit France, and I think this weekend or something like that, we have F1 in Miami. I hate those American races. Yeah, it's not ideal the way that I'm having to cover this. Ideally, I would have loved to have been live for the sprint and the race, but we will yap on it like this because I have nothing that is going in my favor. Connections are not really that good, so yeah. Till then, I'll keep recording videos and posting them. Again, MotoGP, Formula One, cricket, of course, IPL is on every day for the next month. Yeah. So yeah. What do we have today? We have IPL going on at the time of recording this video. Ooh, Night Riders, man. Jesus sakes. It's a headache, man. Your home team doing so bad. It's a headache. We'll talk about them tomorrow. What else do we have? Tomorrow night, actually, we have the final T20 of the India Women's Tour of South Africa. We'll talk about that as well. IPL for the whole week. Hopefully, I should be able to upload the videos during the day. Shouldn't be too delayed. What else do we have? That's about it. Marc Marquez disappointed. He couldn't hold it together in the race. I would have loved to see the battle between the brothers. It would have been fun. Both of them Spanish, so pretty sure people wouldn't mind which one wins as long as one of them wins. What? Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this. The riders. I don't know much information about this. I didn't note it down. Apparently, Ayagura is leaving Trackhouse. Enea wants to go back to Grisini. I don't know who's opening up a spot for him in Grisini, but apparently KTM and Honda they might block his move. What else did I know of? Fabio Di Gianantonio. He's the most sought out or most sought out rider in the rider market. Di Gianantonio's got a huge what can we say? He's got a huge reputation that's pulled a lot of eyes from different teams, different constructors. So a lot going up and down. One move that is confirmed is Ayogura will not be a part of Trackhouse next year. There's also a lot going on about Fabio leaving Yamaha. I don't remember if that is confirmed or not, but yes. Another thing. Yeah, Sylvan, the expert, the commentator, former MotoGP rider. He took part in the London Marathon this weekend. In round 3. Where was round 3, man? US. Was it US or Brazil? Yeah, one of the two. Basically, one of the two, US or the Brazil GPs. He was talking about spreading awareness for cancer. He lost his son to cancer, so he I don't know, as awareness, as a dedication to him, he in full MotoGP race gear ran the London Marathon. He had Sonic on the suit and all, and it was a touching gesture. Let me call it a gesture. It was touching, and he ran the marathon. I think it was about 3 hours and something. I'm forgetting the time he ran it in. It's about 3 hours and something. So yeah, and ooh, why did you close? Why did you close? I just remembered what I wanted to talk about, and then you end up closing. So one thing that where is it? Where is it? Yeah, one thing that a lot of people made noise about was in the sprint when the rain was falling. Marc crashed out, and then he cut the track. He went on the grass and entered the pit lane. people were wondering why he didn't get a penalty for that. So the reason for that is, where is it? He entered the pit lane according to the guidelines that the FIM puts out, the guidelines regarding pit entry, exit, what. So he entered in published definition of the pit entry points. So you have display signs of the speed limits and all. He did that perfectly, and there's no specific rule that a driver had to enter the pit lane from the pit entry road. So that was one of the technicalities that Mark got away with. Another thing was the Mark waited. If you go and watch the sprint again, he gets his bike up and he waited a bit. He looked around for a clear opening, and then he crossed the track. So they're saying that he also did not what's it? He did not disobey martial instructions because there were none. He also did not cause any danger cutting across the track because he waited for it to be clear, and he did not. He didn't cut a significant part of the track where he would gain a lasting advantage or whatever. And even if he did gain a lasting advantage by making the cut, he did lose out the time when he waited for the track to be cleared. So Mark got off on a technicality, let's say. So that's why there was no specific rules of entering the pit lane, because the assumption is always when you enter the pit lane, you'd enter through the pit entry, through that road through to the pit entry until you get to the speed limit marker board, and then from there all sorts of other rules come into play. So thank God I remembered all of that. That's about it. I will see. Yeah, I'll keep trying to sort out these things. If I can get some connections, then we will do lives. Otherwise, this is how it's going to be publishing videos, man. Freaking 30, 40, 50 hour long videos. Yeah, this is about it. I don't know who's going to see this, who's not. Let me know your thoughts, why you think Mark deserved the penalty, even after the explanations that came out. I'm sure you would have read the explanations elsewhere as well. Let me know if you agree, if you don't. Your thoughts on the weekend overall, let me know. I thought it was very entertaining. I couldn't sit down and watch everything, so the sprint and the race I try and sit down to watch. Qualifying, I'm fine with watching highlights because timing is a big issue. So yeah, I'll see you guys for MotoGP in round 5, France, on the when will I see you? Around the weekend of the 8th to 10th, that weekend of May. That's when I'll see you. Till then, like, subscribe, comment, let me know how you thought the weekend went so far, your opinion on that Mark incident, cutting across the track, anything else you want to talk about. Hopefully I should be able to get the notifications of comments, and I will give a reply at the earliest convenience. Till then, just like, subscribe, and yeah, let's keep growing. I'll see you guys next time.